Hey y'all, hi, it's finally happening. It's all happening. Last month, at the end of the month, I spent the brunt of my budget for review products on REFY. No, I know that it's REFY. I just feel like if they wanted... Joe's getting ready to fix the toilet and he's banging and clanging around up there. I'm just waiting for him to settle down. I feel like if it was REFI, it would undeniably be REFY. REFY could go either way, but it's REFY. I spent my whole budget at REFY because in a new makeup hot takes a while back, I mentioned that, here's the whole story. I really love the brow pomade from this brand. When it first launched, my comments were full of people saying, you've got to try the REFY brow pomade, you've got to try it, you've got to try it. I tried it. I'm a total devotee. It's truly one of the best on the market, if not the best for me. And then as they launched more and more things, all of which looked intriguing and right up my alley, I became increasingly intrigued. But every time I see the products at Sephora, they all look so busted and gross, and I'm turned off every time. And I talked about this in a new makeup hot takes, and a bunch of you were like, oh, I have the exact same experience. Maybe I should do a full brand review of REFY, and the concept of the video will be, is it dinky and gross, or is it just what the Sephora display wants you to think? So I decided to order directly from the REFY website products that are pristine, obviously not Sephora testers, and kind of back up a couple steps and look at them with a fresh eye and essentially answer the question, are they good? Do they still have a sense of quality even though the situation in Sephora seems to belie that wretched every time? Or is there something about the packaging and the formulas that kind of cause them to feel that way, if it's not just people being uncouth in Sephora, or if it's something inherent to the brand? So that's kind of like my overarching question. Obviously, though, I'm curious about every single individual formula. So the box just arrived yesterday. I'm going to be applying a whole bunch of products to my face, taking you along for the journey. If this is your first time to my channel, I hope that you enjoy your time here. My name is Hannah. I make videos about makeup and fashion, aesthetics in general. I try not to promote overspending. I try to stay grounded. If you like it, I hope you'll subscribe. And now let's get into the meat of the video. All I have on my face right now is a little bit of green color corrector and a little bit of concealers, the Givenchy color corrector and the Natasha Denona concealer. But that's it. No powder, no spot conceal. Just wanted to take down the redness a little bit and provide a relatively natural looking base from which to start. And the first thing I'm going to do is go in with brows. So I have the brow pomade, the iconic pomade, and it came in a kit or a set with these two products, to me, implying that they're meant to be used together. Actually, it's called the Sculpt, the one that holds everything in place. This is the pomade, which is the one that has a little brush and you paint on color. And then this is the pencil, which is like the finishing product, according to the website. So the website says, set the brows with the brow set, fill in with the pomade, and then finish with the pencil, which is just kind of interesting to me. It's like a lot of brow products. I feel like most people just pick one and they're like, no, it's a 10-stage process. But I'm really into brows. So I'm going to zoom you in. I'm going to try to get those iconic REFY brows. I'm going to see what I can do with these. Okay, so the Brow Sculpt. This is the product that I have a ton of experience with. I've gone through a couple of tubes and it's great. It's great because you have total control with the little brush and it sets down really firmly. And then my impression from the imagery, the brand imagery I've seen, is that it works particularly well if you laminate your brows to your face, which is something I haven't been doing for a long time. Doing it today. Okay, I have something to report. So I decided to do the totally brushed up lamination, and then I changed my mind because I just haven't been wearing my brows that way lately. And I feel like I know that these products can do that, but what I want to know is, can I get a slightly more groomed, sculpted brow that I've been preferring with these products? I feel like that's actually a better question. So after they had kind of set and been laminated to my face, I went in with a little spoolie on the end of the pencil and started trying to change the shape and fussing with them. And because the product was already dry, it started pilling up a little bit and getting those little white flakes, which is something that some of you have talked about in the comments. I have seen people saying, oh, I tried that and it looked like I had dandruff in my brows. But through 2 tubes of this, that has never happened to me before. And I think it's because I have never done that. I've never gone back in with a dry spoolie after it's set and fussed with it and tried to change the shape. So it started happening, but I was able to brush those flakes away pretty easily. And then when I went back in with a wet spoolie, again from the actual brow sculpt, it like re-wet everything and sort of made everything clear again, and then everything reset. So I feel like that's the thing that causes those white flakes, is if you kind of mess with it with something dry rather than continuing to just use the brush that's included in here. Basically continuing to use a little bit more product. I also kind of piled on the product at the beginning. I was over enthusiastic. It's a little bit in between. They're a little bit brushed up, but they are basically the shape that I've been preferring lately, and they definitely need to be filled in a little bit. So let's try the pomade. I'm always calling the other thing the pomade when it isn't. This is the pomade. It's a little brush, and then on the other end, the pomade is in there. And this is the shade medium. I'm worried that it's going to be too light because I really prefer an ashy brow, but on the website it says that Jess, the founder of REFY, uses shade medium, and her brows are really dark and ashy. So let's see. Oh, that's nice. As you can tell, I haven't dyed my brows in a really long time, which is good for this experiment. They've gotten quite light and spare. This is very easy to use, very effective at just darkening the shape of the brow, but without it being too fussy. I feel like though it would be easy to go overboard with this and end up with like a really blocky, unnaturally filled in brow. So I'm just gonna bring the other one up to speed and then move on, because I know that I have like yet a third step with the pencil. It's nice. It's a cream, it's a pomade, but it goes on kind of in a powdery way. Yeah, I like this. I feel like I'm gonna be getting a lot of use out of it. It sort of asks to be used, you know? And I like the compactness of the delivery mechanism too, and how the tool and the pomade are all included in one little thing. So I'm not even sure what needs to be done with the pencil. I'm gonna see what the website says. Stage 3.0, apply the pencil tip over brow hairs to give definition. Oh, so maybe like making some hairs more defined than others. Use the brush to softly blend all products together. It's really pointy. It comes out really pointy. I mean, I'm sure it won't stay that pointy, but wow, look at that. Yeah, I feel like putting the pencil through does bring back a little bit of the like hair stroke look. It feels like a lot. Like it feels like I'm grooming my brows within an inch of their lives. Like it's 3 steps, 3 different products. But I can see the point of this. It's like I'm separating the hairs more, adding little strokes, and making it a little more of a hairy situation rather than like a blocky filled in situation. And I do like that. I appreciate that. And obviously this is the tool with the most control. Okay, I have to stop. I'm pretty into it. Here's what I have to say. As someone who appears on camera as part of my job, I'm going to really appreciate having all of these tools going forward because they're so precise. The combination of the 3 of them together gives me so much control and precision and the ability to like correct and sculpt and perfect and add symmetry to a level that none of my other brow tools offer. Especially this pencil as a finishing step, actually. It really took me there. If you're a brow perfectionist, you will love having all of these, right? If brows are your middle name, so like Hannah Louise Brows Poston over there, then you will love having all of these tools. If you're not, it's kind of a lot, you know? I mean, I think you don't necessarily need all of them. And I don't even think this is it. I feel like there's maybe even another brow thing. Is there? Yeah, there's a tint with like a spiky ball wand that terrifies me, so I just opted out of it. You don't need all 4 of these products to get great brows. Each one of them works on its own or could work in combination with products that aren't from this brand. But the 3 of these together, very impressive result. The one thing to watch out for is I've learned this time, if you overdo it with the sculpt at the outset, if you pile too much of it into your brows and let it set and then you go back and start fussing and trying to move the brows around a lot, you might get those little white flakes. But I think there's a way to avoid that, which is not putting too much of it in to begin with. It's really strong hold. I don't think you need that much to get the hold, and then not fussing too much with a dry brush after that. Just to give myself a little breathing room, a little perspective for the whole rest of the face. What should we do first? Cheeks. Let's do cheeks. I have the kit and caboodle, the blush, the bronzer, and the highlight. My way of doing this stuff is usually to go with the highlight first. So that's what I'm going to do. Well, is that what I want to do? Yeah, that's just how I would do it. And I also feel like this is the kind of thing I might apply on its own. I actually did look at this last night. It's so pretty. It only comes in 1 shade. And one of my concerns has been it would be too dark because look at it. Look at it. Oh my gosh, look at it. But I think I can make it work. It definitely feels glossy. Glossy, I mean, like gloss is the word. Oh my gosh, it's so pretty. I put way too much on my hand. I think if I applied all of that to my face, it would be too sticky. I can't not put some of it on my eyes. It's very non-sticky, so it's kind of like the perfect eye gloss. And yeah, that slight orange hue, because the shade is Topaz, it sheared out, and I didn't put very much on my face. Like, look how much is still left on my hands. It's definitely a very wet shine. It's funny, it blends into the skin almost to the point of like an oil gel type of product. It's totally non-sticky, but it doesn't have a lot of reflect. It just has like shine. An interesting product, kind of a different product than I expected. A little bit more, again, slick and jelly and gelée and glossy. Not Vaseline-y at all, but just like literally a gloss than I necessarily expected. Let's see how it goes with the other products, and then maybe I'll layer more on top if it's not really showing through. The blush. This is the thing that has intrigued me the most for the longest from REFY, but that turns me off the most when I see it in Sephora because it's really small. And it's not that I mind small packaging. I actually think it's great. It's like better to have something small that doesn't take up too much space, that you can use up realistically. But there's something about the combination of the surprisingly small size, perhaps, compared to what one might be expecting, with the very lightweight, it's this like recyclable plastic packaging, which again, it's great to be going that route instead of like manufacturing something without any sensibility with regards to that. It's great that all of this is recyclable, but it doesn't necessarily, the outer packaging of this brand doesn't necessarily feel luxury. It looks really beautiful. I love the minimal design, but it doesn't have that weighty polish, you know? So it's a combination of that, the size, and how totally busted the samples always are when I see them in Sephora that makes me look at it and go like, oh, that's the REFY blush, you know? The big question is like, how is it in person? Like, does the use of it change my mind? And the color, I thought it was gonna be too bright when I first saw it, but I actually think I really like it. It feels really creamy, like it doesn't necessarily have that slick gloss feel. It feels like if I really dug into it, it might have that goopy, lipsticky quality of like the e.l.f. Active Lip and Cheek, but it's a little more set than that. But it feels creamy. It's not silicone-y, it's not evaporating away, it's not like a gel soaking in or kind of staining my cheeks at all. It's the ideal cream blush texture to me. I'm really pleased with that, and it blended really well with the other product. And it was not too difficult not to go overboard. I'm pretty into it. Time will tell with this, you know, whether I'm reaching for it a lot. Like, that's the thing that will tell. But so far, so good. I want to add more. Now I feel like it's going to be a lot when I do the bronzer. I know this isn't the order, I'm like going backwards. Most people do bronzer, then blush, then highlight. But to me, it's all the same, and I just want my skin to look like skin, so I'm just like layering it on and blending it in. That was too much, though. I should have let the bronzer be like the finishing touch for color. But also, let's see what color this is. This is much more satisfying. Like, this is what I thought the blush would be like when it first released. It's quite large. It feels heavier, heftier, much more commensurate with the price tag, etc. The color is pretty nice. Not orange, desaturated. I have hopes. Okay, let's see what we can do. I'm just bringing it in from like the hairline so it doesn't totally overwhelm the blush, but kind of blends into it. It gets a little darker and more bronzy as we go further back, basically, to the outside of the face. A little bit of sculpting, kind of. I'm also gonna put some of it. This is a nice cream bronzer. I'm using the same brush, so it's blending a little bit with the rose color of the blush, which I don't even think I said, but I think it's obvious. The shade is rose. It's like the light pink shade. But that rosy blend is ideal for me. It's making me want to put more on, and I'm just gonna do it because I like the color. I like it. I like the color for a cheek, and I really like how it's blending with the other product. This kind of editorially overdone sunburnt cheek, that's the REFY look, you know? I get it. Like, it's making it really easy to achieve that. I get it. I really, 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 really like this, and I really like it in combination with the blush. The shine has shown through from the gloss, but I'm kind of curious what will happen if I just, yeah, it does feel like it's designed for you to be able to sort of paint it on after the fact, and it will sort of just skim over the top of the color cosmetics. Yeah. Wow, it's nice and it's fun. It's really as dramatic as the imagery, you know what I mean? Like, it's really giving me what I was sold from the imagery on the site and the social media imagery, and it's really easy to use, and that's fun. As always with me, it's crept a little bit far down and it started to mingle with the scars on the sides of my face, and it makes it look messy. It makes the line look messy. I'm gonna clean that up with just a little bit of concealer, trying to kind of push the blush back into its place high on my cheekbones. this, but I'm not going to give in to the urge to use concealer to kind of take down the intense shine underneath my eyes, which I think isn't the most flattering, because look what I have, the powder. So it's in this chunky packaging where the lid screws off, and it has a very, very fine sieve that comes with a little lid on it, and you're supposed to leave that in there. I also got the sponge, and you're supposed to use it dry with the sponge. So dipping it in and then using it. Ooh, it's cool. This is wild. This is so different from anything I've ever tried, and I have a lot to say. So it's called the Skin Finish Water-Based Powder, which I think was the claim of Glossier Wowder, that it was like a water-based powder. And so I expected this just to be REFY's version of Wowder. But Glossier Wowder did not have this, like, it feels wet, y'all. Like, I'm putting it, this is a dry sponge. I'm putting it on. It feels cool and wet. But then it's giving me this seamless finish on my face. It's doing exactly what I wanted, what I would have used concealer for, but without having to add more like coverage, makeup coverage to my face. So it sort of has set the fade of the color there, which is nice. Like, I want to keep that color, but it's dampened the intensity of the shine. I'm just going to keep going only on this side of the face. Okay, like some sort of true makeup testing YouTuber, I have just done this side of my face and not this side. So this is the side where I've set with powder, and on this side I haven't. And it's like half my forehead, my chin as well. It's all on the entire half of this side. And you know, I've got like a blemish and some scars coming through here because I just didn't conceal very aggressively because I didn't feel like it. But it's in the under eye area where it really makes a difference. It's wild. It feels wet going on. And I think because of that, it feels like it's blending into the makeup rather than sitting on top of it like powders do. The real question about this is how it's going to look over the course of the day. I'm intrigued and I think I really like it. The one drawback is it looks like it's adding a little bit of color. It's shade 1. It just has a little bit of color that it's darkened my face a little bit compared to the color of my concealer because I'm so fair. So that's too bad. Like, I wish that it was truly translucent, but it's so intriguing that I'm willing to keep messing with it. And maybe I put on too much too on this side because when I first opened it, there was a ton of it in the top. So I was like caking it on. And it didn't feel cakey because of this weird wetness that it has. But I feel like I put on less on this side and it's just as effective, but without that darkening because there's none left sitting on top of the sieve. So I'm sort of just pressing down through the sieve to get it. And I'm ending up with less on the sponge. It's a little bit more delicate of an application. Wow, what a wild product. I feel like a problem many of us face these days because of the prevalence of dewy products and how fun they are to use and the covetable quality of that like dewy, super glossy cheek like I had, you know, like I still kind of have, but it's just now been made much more reasonable and wearable. A problem many of us are trying to solve, or a question many of us have, is like, how do you slightly take down the shine on the parts of your face that you don't want to be so wet looking that it becomes unflattering because it highlights texture and fine lines and pores and all of that stuff? How do you take down that shine without going super matte, super overboard, caking on more makeup, adding more coverage, like still retaining a sort of healthy skin-like quality after you've put on shiny products and then you're trying to kind of correct for that? And it seems like this powder is maybe a better answer to that question than anything that I've come across before. But it's so different. I also just get really worked up these days when I come across something that's truly different because not a lot is in beauty, you know? So because it's so different though, like that's what's making me excited, but it also means that I'll need to spend more time with it, as I will with all of these things before I give my final verdict. My first instinct is to say that it surprises me to say, because it's not the thing that I was the most excited about. In fact, I almost didn't pick it. And then I was like, I've got to try it. It seems important. Like it seems like a balancing product, you know? But it wasn't the thing that I was the most looking forward to trying. And so it surprises me to say that it's sort of like standing out as a hero product so far as I move through testing these interesting things. The powder has so effectively calmed what was going on my face in terms of like all of that shine and color that it makes me want to bring back some color and really have that quite strong cheek, because there's no eye makeup in this line. It's that like really, really strong, shiny cheek with no eye makeup look that I'm a huge fan of. So I'm just bringing back a little color, without bringing back the bronzer or more highlight than was on the brush. Okay, lips. I found myself really intrigued by the REFY lip products when I was placing this order. There's a new launch actually, which are these glosses, and I ended ended up getting 2 of them because I just couldn't choose. I had to get Taupe, which is like the one that for me, I'll be able to just put on without a mirror, you know? Of everything, these have the most luxe feeling packaging because of that metal tip applicator. So that's Taupe. It's not really Taupe to me. It's like more of a mid-toned peach. Not peach. Oh yeah. Gorgeous product. Perfect, effortless, totally non-sticky. I actually wore the other color that I'm about to show you last night to dinner, and it was so lovely. Really easy to apply, easy to reapply, even though it's a much darker color, the other one, without a mirror. The way it wears is that it soaks in and leaves a lot of nourishment on the lips and some color as well. It's just, it feels quite high-end. The formulas all feel good to me, like really carefully and thoughtfully designed, effective, and maybe it is a little bit because of the packaging. They don't all necessarily have that like high-end polish, that sort of je ne sais quoi, and this kind of does. And yeah, I thought it was a bit dark when I swatched it, but then putting on my lips, it's like totally the slightly tinted sheer lip of my dreams. Like I'm just gonna be wearing this constantly, I feel. I don't even want to take it off, but I have to show you the other things. Yeah, really, really, really nice. I probably just have lip masks on the brain these days, but it feels like a lightweight lip mask. It feels like a beautiful compromise between a lip mask and a gloss or treatment, or yeah, a gloss, I guess, but just with no stickiness. So that was Taupe. This is the other color I had to get, which is sepia. That's the color. Look at it. Oh my gosh. It's so beautiful. It reminds me of Isamaya Black Veil, but with a little bit more brown in it, you know, like a little more of like an actual cool toned chocolate brown in it. What a color. I mean, you can see it shears out quite a lot. There's more drama to it. Very Isamaya Black Veil, but to me, easier to apply, a little bit less dramatic, like making a little bit less of itself. The metal applicator was a really good call on this. It just makes it feel so lovely to apply it to the lips. I mean, you all know this is the kind of thing that I really live for because it's got a slight grungy quality, but it's so effortless. Also, it's skincare and, feels like self-care and feels like luxury. I'm just really here for both of these. I've kind of liked everything so far. Nothing has been a womp, but these are on another level for me in terms of like, oh, I've been waiting my whole life for this. Like that's like the feeling that I have right now. But I also, of course, got one of the lip blushes because that was the new launch that I was talking about in New Makeup Hot Takes that set off the cascade of events that led to me actually making this video. So I had to get one, which means I have to take this off. It's tragic. This is just... Okay, so this is the shade, I got the shade Orchid. There is a very pale pink, I think blush color of this. And I don't know, I don't want to become a parody of myself. I just don't want to bore myself. The imagery was very beautiful of this color. It's just sort of a mid-toned, soft red kind of. I've tried this on last night, but it was dark. I couldn't really see how it looked. But I'll tell you, when I opened this to begin with, the bullet was like about to fly out. Of everything, this is the thing that feels the most like a casualty of the slightly unpolished packaging in that it made it feel a little bit dinky to me when I first opened it. The fact that the bullet wasn't secure down in the thing and it was like rattling around, and as soon as I opened it, it looked messy, but it's fine. I pushed it back in, got it to attach, and I'll be able to use it and it's perfectly fine. It's just, this feels like kind of on another level, the lip gloss, in terms of the quality of the packaging. But let me show you the product. Yeah, I think, so lip product aside for a moment, I think I did apply way too much of the powder on this side of my face because I just had to repair a spot where it was sort of getting cakey, and I like wiped it away, and then there was like this edge, and none of that is happening on the other side where I applied it a lot more lightly. So I'm actually not concerned going forward about the color darkening. I think that was just a function of me having applied way too much. And the other weird thing that's going on is that the lip blush, which there's a swatch, last night when I applied it, I got this weird metallic taste in my mouth, and I assumed that it was from something else, but I just got it again when I applied this, so I don't know what to make of that. None of these products have scent or flavor or anything, which I really appreciate. I think that was also a good call. So it feels really slidey, really slippery, and kind of like it's sitting on the surface of the lips instead of joining with them, like instead of becoming one with them. There's a close-up of it, and you can even kind of see that slidey quality in the way that it's interacting with like the hairs on the back of my hand, like how it's sort of gripping at them. You can sort of imagine like what I'm talking about, the slidiness, how However, the color is really beautiful and the finish is really beautiful. It's a little more pigment than I thought based on the imagery. Some of the website imagery shows the before and after with this lip product, and the after, it's like you can barely see it. It's really showing itself to be a very, very light wash of color, like a tint, but it's definitely pigmented enough that you can build it up to look more like a strong lip color. And I'm so glad that I picked this color Orchid. It's just giving me something that I think that the light mid-toned pink wouldn't have. I mean, I feel like a REFY model. You know what I mean? Like the product's delivered. I feel like I look like the models look. I look like the imagery and the way that everything works together. Not all makeup delivers on its own promise, its own specific promise in this way. You know what I mean? Especially not all like full ranges of makeup when you try to put everything together. But I feel like this brand really does. I liked the lip gloss maybe the best of everything, but I'm happy enough with how this looks that it's not making me want to take it off and put one of those glosses back on. All three lips, I think, were fantastic ways to finish this look. So the thing about this, though, the lip blush is it's just, I'm not sure about the longevity of it. It feels like it might wear away more quickly than the gloss, for example, and then it also feels like it might not leave much pigment behind when it does that. Yeah, again, because it feels like a layer, a very slidey, soft lip cushion layer that's been applied on top of my lips instead of binding to my lips. Until it does wear away, if indeed that is what it's going to do. I mean, you know, I'll find out. Until then, the look is really special. Like the finish of it. And again, the color, I mean, that's the thing. They do a really good job with color, this brand, with color cosmetics, especially lip colors. It was hard for me to even choose these three. And I feel like each of these three lip products is a smash hit in terms of color. All right, I'm going to zoom you out a tiny bit more because there's one more thing. I got a free body glow with my order. I didn't order this and I wouldn't have, but it was like if you spend a certain amount, you get a free body glow. So let's see about it. Honestly, it feels and looks like just a giant tube of the face gloss. And curiously, it's like I also have the concern that it's going to be dark for me, but it shears out enough. I never wear stuff like this. Okay, so this is, I mean, it's pretty. I've made my skin red here on my chest by like rubbing it, but it'll calm down in a second. But here on the shoulder, you can really see how pretty it is. It's not on this shoulder. It's subtler than I expected it to be, subtler and more wearable. I'm going to put it on this shoulder too. Again, because it does feel like a gel and it's not full of sparkle. So these are the hands I just used to apply it. And you can see there's like a dewiness on them, but it doesn't have like gathering glitter particles or something like a lot of products like this do. It's nice. It actually does feel like a body care product, like a gel weight lotion kind of. And the effect is subtler than I expected it to be. It's not illuminated in highlighting. It's just, my skin just looks really healthy. So I don't know how much I'll use this, but the question that I had answered with both this and the face gloss is, does that dark topaz color really work universally? And I think that it does. I would love to put this like on my legs for going out dancing. Yeah, it's like, it's not as high impact as I maybe thought it would be. It's not cheesy. It's just, it's really lovely. It feels luxurious, actually. It feels luxury. And you know, formula-wise, a lot of these products feel that way. Feel luxurious, perform impeccably. I feel like the formulas outperform the packaging. So the long-term question for me is, are the formulas going to keep me coming back to these products over and over and over again, even though some of the packaging feels a little bit less covetable, like less fancy comparatively? I mean, compared both to other products on the market and in the light of the formulas themselves, sort of. My guess is yes. You know, it's like, I feel like packaging, it's something that I do really relish in the everyday, beautiful packaging, but I also feel like when it comes to daily use and value in one's life, it's all about formulas. Whereas sometimes it's packaging that causes a person to kind of be pushed over the edge to buy a thing. The thing that I do really appreciate about the packaging is the look, right? It looks beautiful. It's not bad. It's not like dinky, trashy, or anything like that. It's just the least luxe feeling thing about the brand. But the formulas, in my experience today, really do measure up, and some of them are truly spectacular. So, of course, I'll report back. This was the first impressions. This was a lot of products in one video. A lot of sort of interesting, slightly innovative products, 3 different things in my brows. I think the short answer to the question about the Sephora display and how messy everything feels is like, yeah, it does have, I think, the capacity to be disappointingly sort of lightweight and not all it's cracked up to be on the surface. A great example is like the lip blush, which when I first opened it, it was like, it just seemed like a mess, kind of lightweight, maybe didn't feel at the outset worth the price of the product. But then when I applied it, started playing with it, I was like, like it's really, really, really beautiful. So it just depends on like what you're after, what you value, what makes something a no-go for you. For me, I'm actually really glad that I ended up finally pushing through and trying this brand, because I bet that the brow products and the lip products are going to become fast favorites for me, like everyday favorites. I think the jury's a little bit still out on the powder about whether it's going to do that building patching thing or whether that was just user error for the first time. But if it goes as well as it could go with this, I could see this becoming a fast favorite. And then, cheeks have a lot of competition because I love cheek makeup, but especially the cream bronzer, funnily enough, I could actually see pulling ahead as well in my collection. So it's nice to do a first impressions and come away feeling like, some of these are really going to go the distance for me. That is it for today. I hope that you enjoyed this kind of chaotic and multifaceted exploration of this interesting brand. Again, if you liked it and you think you might watch more videos and you're not subscribed, I hope that you will subscribe. But most of all, I hope that you're taking extra good care of yourself so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world.